Welcome back to our channel.
I am Lisa.
And I'm Eric. Do you want to improve your English easily? If so, you're in the right place.
So let's get started and make English easy. So Eric, what are the words today?
The first word today is generous. Then we will continue with tight-fisted and to deceive, then to chip in, and the final one is same old, same old.
Okay, let's start with the first word.
The first word is generous.
Generous.
Generous. Generous is an adjective. It means someone who likes to give, help, or share with other people, especially with money, time, or things.
Exactly. For example, if someone gives you a lot of time, money, or help, you can say they are generous. Now, let's look at an example sentence.
The first example is, my friend is very generous. She always shares her lunch with her friends.
What does it mean, Eric?
It means that the friend often gives her friends lunch without keeping it all for herself. She likes to share and doesn't worry about losing something for herself.
Here's another example. She made a generous donation to the school. This means that she gave a large amount of money to help the school. She gave more than people expected.
Good job. Now, here's something important to remember. The word generous is used with the preposition to or with based on the case. When you are generous and giving to someone, you use the word to after generous. For example, generous to his neighbors or generous to his friends. Generous is sometimes followed by with when talking about something that is given. For example, generous with money or generous with their time.
It's a good point about grammar, Eric. Let's listen to a short conversation using generous.
Did you hear about Susan's birthday party?
Yes, I did. She was so generous to everyone.
I know. She gave everyone a gift bag with a lot of nice things inside. That was very generous of her.
She's always generous with her time and her gifts. Everyone had a great time at her party.
So, in this dialogue, we used the word generous twice. Susan gave a lot of nice things to her friends, and she also gave her time. That's why we say she is generous.
As you can see, generous means having a desire to give or help.
That's right. Now, let's talk a bit more about this word. Do you think generous is a formal word, Eric?
I think it can be used in both formal and informal situations. You can say it in everyday conversations, but it's also okay to use it in a more serious or formal setting, like at work.
I agree. It's a simple word and you can use it often. Do you think people like being called generous?
Oh yes, being called generous is a positive trait. It means people think you are kind and like to help others.
Yes, it's always a positive word. It makes people feel appreciated. Okay, well, that's it for today's word, generous. We hope you all learned something new. Let's move on to our next word.
The next word is tight-fisted.
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 It means someone who doesn't like to spend money. They try to keep as much money as possible and don't want to give it away, even when they should.
Exactly. Now, I'll give the first example. My uncle is so tight-fisted that he never buys new clothes. It means my uncle doesn't like spending money, even on necessary things like clothes.
Here's another example. She's too tight-fisted to give money to charity. This means that she doesn't want to donate money, even though giving to charity is a good thing.
The word comes from the idea of someone holding their money tightly in their hand, not wanting to let go of it. It's often followed by words like with, as in tight-fisted with money.
Now let's do a short role play using the word tight-fisted.
Did you hear about Alex? He wouldn't pay for the group dinner last night.
Really? He's always so tight-fisted. He earns more than all of us.
I know. He's always been tight-fisted with his money. It's frustrating.
So, in this dialogue, we used tight-fisted twice. Alex doesn't like to spend his money, even when it's a group dinner, and people find that frustrating.
Yes, calling someone tight-fisted is usually negative because it suggests they don't want to share or be generous.
Now, let's talk about the word. Eric, do you think tight-fisted is common?
Well, it's not super common, but people do use it, especially when talking about someone who is being very cheap. It's informal though, so you won't hear it in professional or formal settings.
Yes, that's true. It's more common in casual conversations, when you're complaining about someone who doesn't like to spend money.
Exactly. People still use it when they want to talk about someone too careful with their money.
So if you want to describe someone who doesn't like to spend money, especially in a casual way, you can say, they are tight-fisted.
That's right. We hope this explanation helps our followers understand the word better.
I hope so, Eric. Let's move on to the next word.
The next word is to deceive.
To deceive.
To deceive. To deceive means to make someone believe something that is not true.
When we say someone deceives another person, we mean they lie or trick them in some way.
Exactly. Let me give an example sentence. The salesman deceived the customer about the car's condition.
It means that the salesman lied to the customer about how good the car was.
Good explanation. Now it's your turn, Lisa. Can you give us another example?
Sure, here's another example. She deceived her parents by saying she was studying when she was actually watching TV. It means that she tricked her parents by lying about what she was really doing.
Let's talk a little more about how to use deceive. It's a verb, and it's often followed by a person, like deceive someone. And remember, deceive is usually negative because it means lying or tricking someone.
Yes, and we can also use the noun form, which is deception. For example, her deception hurt many people. This means the lie or trick caused harm.
Now, let's move on to a short dialogue to show how deceive can be used in a conversation.
Can you believe that? He deceived everyone at the party?
I know. He told us he was a famous actor, but it was all a lie. He really deceived us.
I feel so fooled. Why would someone do that?
That was a good example, Lisa. It shows how we use deceive to talk about lying or tricking someone.
Yes, and it also shows that being deceived can hurt people's feelings. So, Eric, do you think deceive is a common word in English?
It's not super common in everyday conversations, but you'll hear it in more serious situations, like in the news, books, or when people are talking about someone being dishonest. It's a bit more formal than just saying someone lied.
I agree. It's a useful word when you want to talk about something more serious than just a small lie. Deceive sounds stronger and more formal, so it's good to use when the lie is big or important.
Exactly. So remember, when someone makes another person believe something false, you can say they deceived them.
Okay, well, I think we explained deceive pretty well. Let's move on to the next word.
Okay, the next word is to chip in.
To chip in.
To chip in. Chip in is a phrasal verb, and it means to give some money when several people are giving money for something together.
Yes, to chip in is often used when a group of people share the cost of something or help together. It can also be about helping by doing something, not just with money.
Exactly. Let's break it down with some examples. Here's my example. We all chipped in to buy a birthday gift for our friend. It means that each person in the group gave some money to buy a present together. Everyone contributed a little bit to help pay for the gift, so we say they chipped in.
That's a great example. Here's mine. If everyone chips in, we can finish cleaning the house faster. This means that if everyone helps by doing a small part, the job will get done more quickly. So, chip in doesn't always have to be about money. It can also mean helping with effort or time.
Perfect. So, to chip in is all about sharing the work or cost so that the job gets done or something can be bought.
Now, let's hear a short dialogue to show how chip in is used in conversation.
The party's going to be awesome, but we need more drinks. Can you guys chip in?
Sure, I'll chip in $10.
I can chip in by picking up some snacks on my way.
Thanks. That'll make things easier for everyone.
In this dialogue, Tom offers to contribute money, and Anna offers to help by bringing snacks.
Right. So, they're both chipping in different ways, one with money and the other with snacks. It's all about helping in some way to make things easier.
So, Eric, would you say to chip in is a common phrase?
Yes, it's very common in everyday conversation, especially in informal situations with friends, family, or co-workers. People use it when they're organizing something together, like a party or a gift.
I agree. It's friendly and informal, so you wouldn't really use it in very formal situations, but it's perfect when you're asking for small help from people you know well.
Definitely, and it's a nice way to ask for help without sounding too demanding. It's casual and polite.
I agree. Okay, we will explain the last word of today now. What is the last word today, Eric?
The last word today is same old, same old.
Same old, same old.
Same old, same old. Same old, same old is an idiom. It's used to describe a situation that hasn't changed and might be a bit boring.
That's right. When we say same old, we mean things are just as they always are, with nothing new or exciting.
Let me give an example sentence. How was work today? Oh, same old, same old.
It means that the person's day at work was very normal and nothing special happened.
Good explanation. Now it's your turn, Lisa. Can you give us another example?
Sure. Here's another example. I'm tired of eating at the same restaurant. It's always same old, same old. It means that the person is bored with the restaurant because the food and experience never change.
That's right. Now, let's talk about how to use this phrase. Same old is an informal expression. We often use it as a response to questions about daily activities or routines.
Good point. Now, let's hear a short dialogue using the phrase, same old, same old.
Hey Tom, how's life been treating you lately?
Oh, same old, same old. Work, home, sleep, repeat.
Really? Nothing new or exciting?
Nah, just the same old, same old. A little change would be nice.
That was a nice dialogue. Did you notice how they used same old, twice?
Yes, I did. It really shows how we use this phrase to describe routine situations. Lisa, is same old a common expression?
Yes. It's very common in casual conversations, especially when people are talking about their daily lives.
I agree. Is it more formal or informal?
It's definitely informal. We use it with friends and family, but not in formal writing or professional settings.
Good point. Why do you think it's an important idiom for English learners to know?
Well, it's a quick and easy way to describe routine situations. It helps learners express boredom or lack of change in a natural way.
That's right. It's also a good phrase to know when making small talk about daily life.
Exactly. Well,
the first word today is a mess. Then we will continue with to be swamped with, and disobey. Then, to mess up. And the final one is turn over a new leaf.
Okay, let's start with the first word, Eric.
The first word today is a mess.
A mess.
A mess. A mess is a noun, and it describes a situation or place that is not clean or organized. When something is a mess, it means things are out of place, disorganized, or dirty.
Yes, mess can refer to a physical space like a room or a desk, or even a situation that is confusing and not well organized. And actually, there's a related word, messy. Messy is the adjective form of mess. So if a room is a mess, we can say, the room is messy as well.
Exactly. Let's break it down with some examples. After the party, the living room was a mess with cups and food everywhere. It means that after the party, the living room was very dirty and disorganized. We could also say the living room was really messy.
That's a good example. Here's mine. The kids made a mess in the living room after playing with their toys all afternoon. It means that after the kids played, the living room became disorganized and messy. There were toys everywhere. So we say the room was a mess.
Perfect. So, as you can see, mess is used to describe something that is not in order, whether it's a place, an object, or even a person's appearance. And if you want to describe it with an adjective, you can use messy.
Yes, and we can also use mess to describe a situation. For example, if things are not going well or there's confusion, we can say, this situation is a mess, or even this situation is messy.
Exactly. Now, let's hear a short dialogue to show how mess is used in conversation.
Wow, we really made a mess with all these papers and books everywhere.
Yeah, we should clean up. It's hard to find anything when it's such a mess. Everything is so messy.
Agreed. Let's organize everything before we leave.
In this dialogue, we see how to use both a mess and messy. So, Eric, what would you say about the word? Is it common, informal, or formal?
Oh yes, a mess is very common. People use it all the time when talking about their homes, their desks, or even their personal situations. It's informal and simple, so it's great for casual conversations. The word messy is just as common. You hear people use it to describe messy kitchens, rooms, or even messy situations.
I agree. It's very versatile and can be used in different situations. You can talk about making a mess, cleaning up a mess, or even describe something that's confusing as a mess. And don't forget, if you want to use an adjective, messy works just as well.
Well, we have explained the word mess pretty well, I think.
Yes, Eric. So what is the next word?
The second word is to be swamped with.
To be swamped with.
To be swamped with. To be swamped means to have too much work, often more than you can handle.
When we say someone is swamped, we mean they are very busy and have a lot to do.
Exactly. Let me give an example sentence. I can't go out tonight. I'm swamped with homework.
It means that the person has too much homework and is too busy to go out.
Good explanation. Now it's your turn, Lisa. Can you give us another example?
Sure. Here's another example. The office is swamped with orders this week.
It means that the office has received many orders and is very busy trying to deal with them all. Now, let's talk about how to use this phrase. We often use be swamped, followed by with, and then what we're busy with. For example, I'm swamped with work, or we're swamped with customers.
Good point. Now, let's hear a short dialogue using the phrase be swamped.
Hey, John, can you help me with this project?
I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm swamped with reports right now.
Oh, I see. Are you always this swamped?
Not always, but this week is particularly busy. The boss gave me 3 urgent reports to finish.
Wow, you are really swamped. Let me know if you need any help later.
That was a good example, Eric. It shows how we use be swamped to describe being very busy at work.
Yes, and it also shows that being swamped is often a temporary situation.
Absolutely. So, Eric, what would you say more about swamped?
Well, firstly, it's quite common, especially in work situations or when talking about busy times in our lives. And it's semi-formal. We can use it in professional settings, but it's not very formal. It's also common in casual conversations.
Yes, it can be used sometimes in informal situations as well. Is there anything to add, Eric?
Well, it's a vivid way to express being very busy. It helps learners describe overwhelming situations more colorfully than just saying, "I'm busy."
Exactly. Well, I think we've explained be swamped pretty well. Shall we move on to our next word?
Let's do that. The next word we're going to explain is disobey.
Disobey.
Disobey. Disobey is a verb, and it means not to follow rules or instructions. When you disobey someone, you don't do what they tell you to do. It's the opposite of obeying.
If you don't listen or follow the rules, then you are disobeying. Let's look at the first example sentence. The student disobeyed the teacher by talking during the lesson. It means that the student didn't follow the teacher's rule to stay quiet, so they disobeyed the teacher.
Here's another example. If you disobey the traffic laws, you might get a ticket. This means that if you don't follow the traffic rules, like driving too fast or not stopping at a red light, the police might give you a ticket as a punishment.
Let's talk a bit more about how to use disobey. You can also use it with a person or a rule, like disobey your parents or disobey the law.
Yes, and it's important to know that disobey is usually negative because it means you are not following the rules or doing what you are supposed to do.
Now, let's move on to a short dialogue to show how disobey can be used in a conversation.
Max is a good dog, but sometimes he disobeys me when I tell him to sit.
Oh, that happens to my dog too. Sometimes he just doesn't want to listen and disobeys my commands.
I guess dogs like to have their own way sometimes.
In the dialogue, Emily says that her dog disobeys her when she tells him to sit. This means that the dog doesn't listen or follow her instructions.
Yes, and Tom says dogs behave in that way sometimes.
That's right. So, Eric, do you think disobey is a common word in English?
It's not the most common word, but it's useful when you're talking about rules or instructions. You'll often hear it when talking about kids, pets, or even laws.
I agree. It's a good word to use when you want to be clear that someone didn't follow an important rule or instruction. It's also common when talking about breaking the law.
Exactly. So remember, when someone doesn't follow a rule or instruction, you can say they disobey.
That's it for the word disobey. Let's move on to the next word.
The next word is mess up.
Mess up.
Mess up. Mess up is a phrasal verb. It has 2 meanings. First, to make a mistake or to do something badly. The second one is make something untidy or disorganized.
When we say someone messed up, we mean they made a mistake or did something wrong. Let's give some examples. Here's mine. She accidentally messed up the cake by adding too much sugar. It means that she made a mistake while baking the cake. She put in too much sugar, so the cake didn't turn out well. This was the first meaning of mess up. Now it's your turn, Eric. Can you give us another example?
Sure. Here's another example. Don't mess up your room. I just cleaned it. It means that you shouldn't make your room untidy or disorganized because it was just cleaned. This is the second meaning of mess up.
Good example, Eric. Now, let's hear a short dialogue using the phrase mess up.
How did your job interview go?
Honestly, I messed up. I was so nervous that I forgot to answer one of the questions correctly.
Don't worry, everyone messes up sometimes. I'm sure you still did great.
That was a good dialogue. Lisa, it shows how we use mess up to talk about mistakes in different contexts.
That's right. So, Eric, do you think mess up is a common phrase in English?
Oh yes, it's very common in everyday conversations, especially among friends or in casual situations.
I agree. Is it more formal or informal?
It's definitely informal. We wouldn't use it in formal writing or professional settings. There are more formal ways to say the same thing. Additionally, it's a versatile phrase that can be used in many situations. It's helpful for talking about mistakes or things going wrong in a casual way.
It's also good for learners to know because they might hear it in everyday English or in movies and TV shows.
Exactly, Lisa.
Well, I think we've explained mess up pretty well. Shall we move on to our last word today?
Yes, let's do that. The last word today is turn over a new leaf.
Turn over a new leaf.
Turn over a new leaf. Turn over a new leaf is an idiom that means to make a big positive change in your life or in your behavior. When you turn over a new leaf, you decide to stop doing bad things and start doing good things.
Exactly. It's often used when someone wants to improve their habits or actions. Now, let's look at the first example sentence. After missing so many classes, John decided to turn over a new leaf and attend school every day. It means that John used not to go to classes, but now he wants to change his behavior. He will start going to school every day and be more responsible.
Good example. Here's another example. She used to eat a lot of junk food, but now she's turned over a new leaf and eats healthy meals. This means that she used to have bad eating habits, but now she has decided to change and eat healthier food.
Perfect. Now, let's move on to a short dialogue to show how turn over a new leaf can be used in a conversation.
I heard, you're trying to turn over a new leaf this year. What's your plan?
Yeah, I'm going to start exercising more and quit smoking. It's time to turn over a new leaf and get healthy.
That's awesome. I hope everything goes well for you.
In the dialogue, Mark says he wants to turn over a new leaf by exercising more and quitting smoking. This means he is trying to make positive changes in his life.
Yes, and Amy supports his decision.
So, Eric, what would you say about turn over a new leaf?
It's fairly common, especially when people talk about big changes in their lives, like starting new habits or trying to be a better person.
I agree. It's a helpful phrase when you want to talk about positive changes. It also gives the feeling of hope, like you're starting fresh and trying to do better.
Exactly. So remember, when you or someone else is making a positive change in life or behavior, you can say they are turning over a new leaf.
We hope you found the words helpful and the explanations easy to understand.
Thanks for listening. Keep practicing your English.
And stay tuned. Bye for now.